A room with a view of the whole city. Fashion luxury, that's what he's got pretty.
Anyone who remembers the good times at KDW, you know, when you were up in the gourmet department, you knew it was delicious. And anyone who knew the fantastic times at the Alsterhaus in Hamburg up in the gourmet department knew it was gigantic. And those times are over. Because it is dramatic how this Alsterhaus has developed. This is, of course, due to various investors. There were always some involved from time to time. And they tried to pull out some money, but never to create a great shopping experience. And I find it fascinating that the retailers practically present us with this culinary mile up there, that they have managed to hold on for so long. But it now seems that it has to change so negatively that one simply says they don't come. More upwards. I still remember there is a wonderful small cheese section, there is a caviar section, there is a steak section, and what is of course excellent is also this sushi section, and there was also a delicatessen vendor who was fantastic at the beginning. And now, because he can't find staff, he produces such poor quality, the items are partially already over-fermented, then they go bad. It's just an incredibly poor quality, and it's no longer any joy to be there in the Alsterhaus. And it really used to be fantastic. So really, when I talk about it, it was an experience up there, just like that, to be there for 1 to 2 hours and experience something truly special. And what has become even more dramatic, and that's actually what this video is about, is that these toilets, and you can see how something is falling apart. It's often said, when I go to a restaurant, the first thing I do is go to the toilet. Is the toilet clean and does it smell nice, I assume, or one can assume that there is also good quality and cleanliness in the kitchen. But when I go to the toilet at the medical center, I have to say, my goodness, it wasn't really well managed before either. But there was someone who cleaned there. That means a cleaning team. Then came the Corona period, and after that, everything went downhill. Today, the toilets are in an abysmal state. That means, aside from the fact that the gourmet department is getting worse, the toilet department at the Alsterhaus in Hamburg, and I mean it used to be an institution, is in such a miserable state that it reminds me of the toilets at Hamburg Airport. And I mean, you know how often I've really brought up facts about Hamburg Airport because it's unbearable that they can't manage to have a toilet that truly accommodates a necessity or a place where one can relieve themselves that is clean and orderly. Things are either broken or they don't work. Or because the water flush isn't working, you can still see the mess from the previous user. It smells unbearable. And these are all conditions that, when offering art, a local story upstairs must be under control. You can't just go and say, eat, consume, and die. Instead, you must of course say, if I offer something to the guests, I must have a functioning toilet. And it is the responsibility of the Alsterhaus to ensure that this toilet is properly such clean and in good working condition. Just like currently at the Hamburg Alsterhaus, the gourmet department is not even worth mentioning anymore because only a few highlights remain. So if things continue to decline like this in the future, then I would suggest turning the Alsterhaus into a self-service store, because one awesome thing definitely still worked. The cafeteria area where that fantastic ceiling is, if you haven't been there, you should take a look at it. There is a small restaurant section on the top floor, which I call a cafeteria, because it is visually set up like a cafeteria and only serves cafeteria food. That means everything is pre-made. There, you can eat something relatively cheaply, cafeteria style, and you only have, and this is the beautiful part, a ceiling that is so wonderful. Anyone who has been there knows what I'm talking about. Anyone who hasn't been there should, even if they don't eat anything, go to the top floor of the Alsterhaus and look at this magnificently beautiful ceiling in the restaurant, which still brings me joy to this day. That means, at the moment, I only go to the Alsterhaus. Because of what? Because of the ceiling. No longer because of the restrooms, and especially not, unfortunately, because of the poor gourmet temple, which hasn't been one for a long time. That reminds me of Lufthansa Aldi Gourmet section and Lidl Deluxe.